USA Today's Women of the Year celebrates the achievements of extraordinary women who have left an undeniable mark on the world.
I don't live life being risk adverse. I like lean into it because that usually means you're doing something important.
What sets these women apart isn't just their success, but the unique obstacles they faced along the way.
I want people to remember me for making sports safer and normalizing really hard conversations.
Today we're celebrating the Women of the Year with 5 national honorees and introducing you to some of the Women of the Year selected from every U.S. state and territory.
I find that it is so helpful to see what is possible. So what I'm hoping is that people see, oh, there's someone who's just like me, doing that job, and I can do that one day myself.
Life's ups and downs have made them who they are, helped them grow, change, and thrive.
And if I could inspire women to sort of accept that we all age and that aging brings along with it a different kind of beauty. It's a different stage of life. And so I find it so exciting to share that part.
Most of all, our honorees are women who lift people up in their communities and around the globe.
I'm excited because if there is a young lady out there who looks like me who says, I'm not sure if there's ever a role for me there, she now knows, yeah, there is.
We hope our stories inspire you to dream beyond boundaries, tap into your own potential, and write your own narrative. They've done it, and so can you. Welcome to this very special show. I'm Zuleika Nethu, your guide as we honor women who have left an indelible mark in their fields and on the world. We're unveiling USA Today's 2024 Women of the Year. Our first honoree is a familiar face on screen, a visionary director and a relentless entrepreneur. Known for her role on the critically acclaimed series Desperate Housewives, Eva Longoria shapes culture behind the camera and pushes for inclusivity through her storytelling and activism.
I don't live life being risk adverse. I like lean into it because that usually means you're doing something important. I have such a optimist view of everything, of the world, of people.
Eva Longoria has fought to create equal opportunities and highlight underrepresented voices through decades of storytelling, entrepreneurship, and activism.
I think people always look at our industry of like, they're actors and directors or whatever. But our industry and the media has so much influence on people and culture. And when you change culture, you can change policy. You can change how people see other communities, how people relate to other communities.
Her acting career began on the soap opera The Young and the Restless. Later came a breakout role in Desperate Housewives before her storytelling reached new heights as a producer and director.
My favorite rooms to be in are with fellow Latinas and aspiring Latinas, whether they're directors or writers or actors. And so a big reason I got behind the camera to produce and direct was to build this pipeline of talent that doesn't normally get the opportunities.
Recently, Eva made her film directing debut on the award-winning movie Flaming Hot.
I felt the pressure of not getting it wrong, zero room for error, authenticity being my North Star, so hiring almost an entire Latino crew. All of those things mattered. With this film, we don't get these opportunities often. I mean, the last film by an American-born Latina by a studio film has been like over 20 years ago. We can't get a film every 20 years.
Off camera, Eva is also a philanthropic force, having started multiple foundations and businesses advocating for equality, education, and empathy.
I think I'm most proud of that advocacy that I've done for women, for Latinos, for the disabled community, special needs community, which is my sister's community. And so I'll continue to do that fight. As scary as it is, that's probably a signal that it's very important to do.
Growing up in Texas, Eva was surrounded by a village of female role models, including her mother, aunts, and sisters, who she credits with making her the woman she is today.
I got to see those examples of like, oh, okay, that's what it means to be a woman, and that's what it means to be successful, and that's what it means to be intelligent. And so I was really blessed with incredible role models around me that I knew exactly who I wanted to be. My 14, 15-year-old Eva was brave and the world was her oyster. And I still feel that way. I still feel like my greatest accomplishments are ahead of me.
Unshakable positivity, fearless risk-taking, and cultural bridge building. Longoria's journey is an inspiring one as she continues to amplify marginalized voices and fight for representation. Our next honoree is also a force for representation. From clinic to classroom, Dr. Melissa Gilliam's path is dedicated to creating positive impacts. As the first woman and woman of color president-elect at Boston University, her story reflects a groundbreaking career and empowering journey. Dr. Melissa Gilliam is a trailblazer. In 2021, she became executive vice president at Ohio State University and the first Black woman to serve as the university's provost. This year, she's the first woman and woman of color to take on another high-profile role.
I am starting as president-elect of Boston University, and I'll be president July 1st of 2024. And it's an opportunity to lead one of the great universities of the world and set a transformational vision for the work of our faculty, staff, and students.
Born in Washington, D.C., Gilliam is one of 3 children and attended Harvard, Yale, and Oxford. Her parents are her inspiration.
I look up to, first of all, my father. And my father is an artist, and that really gave me a sense of, first of all, the importance of creativity and my appreciation of the arts and humanities. I also look up to my mother. My mother is a journalist, and I think that is where my commitment to service comes from.
After graduating as a Doctor of Medicine from Harvard, Gilliam took a master's in public health and initially worked as a hybrid physician-scientist. But eventually, her focus changed.
I was a pediatric and adolescent gynecologist, and also a researcher, so the idea was to use research to impact greater numbers of people. And then I realized through higher education we can do the same thing.
Since switching lanes, Gilliam has gone on to become a national leader in faculty recruitment and student success, as well as a champion of diversity and inclusion. The running total of a flourishing career that continues to push boundaries.
So whether I was in the clinic working with adolescent girls, or in a classroom, or in giving a talk, I find that it is so helpful to see what is possible. And that's meant a lot to me, to be able to see women in roles and in a variety of roles. That is what helps you understand what's possible. So what I'm hoping is that people see, oh, there's someone who's just like me doing that job, and I can do that one day myself.
Our next selection shifts the spotlight to the beauty of aging, fighting to remove the taboo that women face. Stay tuned as we follow her reinvention from supermodel to survivor.
My definition of courage is persevering even when you perceive that you have a limitation, and persevering even when something is difficult to do.
Courage to me is not the absence of fear, but rather the presence of fear and doing things in spite of the fear.
I think of courage instead of a noun, I think of it as an adverb, because when I think about courage, I think about it in action, in motion, in an applied way. So when I think about courage, I think about what is it to be courageous and how am I acting? So it's courageous when you show up authentically. It takes courage to show up as yourself and be open to the vulnerability of that.
My definition of courage is being yourself, which I think is really hard in our world today. And I also think it's really hard growing up in the world of social media. So I think having the courage to be yourself is very courageous. And I really admire people who are authentically who they are and who they want to be.
Courage is defined in many ways, and I think it's a very personal thing. So for me, anytime somebody is exposing themselves and being vulnerable. Even me directing this film, I was directing it and put everything into it. And when I was finished, I remember they were like, okay, we're gonna do a critics review. And I was like, oh, I forgot, people will judge this. Like, that's an extremely vulnerable position to be in.
You might know our next honoree from her poses on magazine covers or her strides down the runway. But Paulina Poroskova doesn't just model clothes. She models resilience in adversity and positive representation of aging. She inspires women to embrace wisdom and grace at every stage of life.
For me, modeling now at the age of 58 is such a different story than it was when I was, 20.
Paulina Poroskova has been modeling globally since she was a teenager, but she says it's the hardships, not just the magazine covers, that have made her who she is.
My proudest moment, you're actually sort of meeting me in my proudest moment, which is having arrived at where I am after having gone through some catastrophic changes and some dark times and rebuilt myself.
The model, actor, and writer was born in Czechoslovakia, the daughter of political dissidents forced to flee to Sweden. She was separated from her mother for years as a child.
We weren't quite mother and child. We never really learned the same language, the same love language. We were never together long enough. So it's been a very complicated and fraught relationship.
And not the only one in her life. Poroskova's husband, rock singer Rico Kasich, died in 2019. The couple was in the middle of a divorce at the time. Poroskova says she had no money and eventually had to sell her home.
There were moments where I toyed with the idea that not waking up the next morning would be preferable. Those were not happy moments, clearly. I think I navigated that by looking for little sparks of light that would mean hope, that there is light and that there's something to swim towards.
She says friends, family, her 2 sons, and therapy helped pull her through. She's also come to appreciate her mother's resilience.
She is such an inspiration to me as a woman of what is possible for a woman that doesn't take no's for an answer, a woman that doesn't see a closed door as anything but something you take an axe to.
Now the 58-year-old wants to be a beacon for people her age whose experiences, she says, are often ignored.
What I'm trying to do is sort of represent that bare spot of women that are aging. They're not quite one thing or another, but are aging. And if I could inspire women to sort of accept that we all age and that aging brings along with it a different kind of beauty. It's a different stage of life. And to me, it has been by far the most rewarding stage of my life. And so I find it so exciting to share that part.
Our next honoree navigates the runway of technology like a boss, because that's exactly what she is. As one of just 2 Black women to helm a Fortune 500 company, Townes-Whitley focuses her leadership on building curiosity and empathy. Townes-Whitley is a titan of the tech industry.
At SAIC, I'm the CEO of a $7 billion company that does the integration of commercial technology into national defense agencies like the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, as well as civilian agencies across the federal government.
Townes-Whitley spearheads the creation and application of new technological solutions to national and international problems.
I've been working with innovation all of my, adult career, but I'm able to apply it to mission-critical problems in national defense, to securing our critical infrastructure, to modernizing government operations.
Townes-Whitley took the reins at SAIC in October and is one of the only 2 Black women to head up a Fortune 500 company.
First, it was a proud moment because of the industry itself. An industry I had grown up in, the government industry, as a military brat from a military family, being back in a company that has 70% of its revenue coming from the Department of Defense and changing the mission dynamic. I was super proud to be back in that industry. I was also proud to represent women and women of color in large companies like Fortune 500.
Navigating in such a complex, high-stakes world requires impeccable judgment and endurance, qualities she learned from her parents.
I'm the daughter of a mother warrior, a family warrior, a civil rights warrior, a prayer warrior. And so in many ways, I feel like she and my dad set a standard. It's a very strong family with a very deep legacy.
Besides her parents, one of the biggest influences on Townes-Whitley is a former U.S. president.
I look at some leaders that have affected me over time. Some I had the chance to meet, like former President Bill Clinton, when we had a chance to share the stage, and he had a chance to teach me 4 words that sort of changed the way I thought about myself as a leader. He told the audience, think big, be big. Think bigger than the people around you and show up bigger in character. And he outlined all the leaders of his time that had done that and did a self-assessment. I continually use those 4 words to do my own self-assessment.
As a woman at the vanguard of technological innovation, Townes-Whitley is a trailblazer who leads by example. Her wish is that others might follow.
I'm excited. I love the company. I've known the company. I know the industry. But mostly I'm excited because if there is a young lady out there who looks like me who says, I'm not sure if there's ever a role for me there, she now knows, yeah, there is.
There definitely is. Townes-Whitley's path is paving the way for more people to feel like they belong in those roles. Many other women are carving out space and uplifting others. Up next, join us as we introduce some of our local honorees, each making waves in our own backyard. And we'll also reveal our final national honoree. You don't want to miss it. In addition to our national honorees, more than 50 other extraordinary women from across the country were selected as USA Today's Women of the Year, representing every state, each of them making tangible differences in their local communities. In the rich tapestry of their own communities, these women are making an impact in their own unique ways. Cindy Zip from New Jersey advocates tirelessly for the preservation of the ocean.
All that the ocean provides us is free. We just have to take care of her. We just have to not do harmful things, and she produces this incredible wealth of beauty and wonder.
In Georgia, Dr. Quinn Galloway Salazar offers comfort and solace to veterans, staying with them until the very end.
Lessons that I learned on how to live in the midst of dying and how to show up in the midst of dying, and being able to take their stories and share it with others to empower them, to inspire them to care for veterans through the end of life.
Then there are those who harness technology to nurture our future, like Dr. B. Jan Middendorf in Kansas.
Maximizing productivity, but minimizing the impacts to the environment. I mean, that's what makes it so inspirational for me to work in this innovation lab, is thinking, how can we improve those systems to help the livelihoods of not only our global neighbors, but also ourselves.
Curious to discover the standout from your state? Scan the QR code on your screen or head to womenoftheyear.usatoday.com for more stories of remarkable women making an impact in their communities. You might recognize our final honoree from the elegant backflips on the beam or her powerful twists in the air. Aly Raisman's balance, though, extends far beyond her gold medal routines. It comes from her core as a woman of both courage and compassion.
You know, my parents used to always tell me when I was younger, people will remember me for the kind of person I am, not what place I am on the podium, and I never really understood that until I got older.
With 6 Olympic medals, Aly Raisman is the 3rd most decorated American gymnast in Olympic history, behind only Shannon Miller and Simone Biles.
I think, of course, I'm obviously very proud of my gymnastics career because I worked so hard for that, and I'm also very proud of speaking my truth and sharing things that were not easy for me to talk about and still not are easy.
In 2017, Aly went public as one of the many victims in the high-profile sexual abuse case against former U.S. Olympic team physician Larry Nassar.
It did feel like I was opening up a wound that just kind of wouldn't heal, but I didn't expect to receive so much support, so that also changed my life.
After reading a victim impact statement at the sentencing hearing, Aly took on a new, unexpected role.
Because I've shared my story so publicly, you know, so many people will share that they're also survivors of abuse, and a common thing I often hear is that so many people are suffering in silence, and maybe they told someone 50 years ago, or maybe, you know, I'm the first person they've ever told.
Aly not only provides support in private, but also uses her platform to publicly advocate for the well-being of abuse survivors.
I hope to try to help normalize that conversation, because I think the more people that talk about what they're going through, the more we can all realize that no matter who you are, we're all dealing with something, or at least we have gone through something, and we all go through ups and downs in life, and you know, there's no such thing as a perfect life. Hopefully the more people will feel safer to speak up about what they're going through.
To help children in particular, Allie wrote a book to help educate young people and those around them.
For me, I think it's also healing to know that maybe I can help in some way, you know, teach kids what I wish that I had known and some of the maybe signs to look out for. And so I feel really grateful to have the platform to try to do that. What I'm most proud of today maybe is really figuring out who I am outside of gymnastics, and I really want to be a good daughter, a good older sister, a good dog mom, a good friend, of course, a good role model. I think that I'm most proud of that.
Showing strength through vulnerability, courage amidst hardships, determination when taking risks, and commitment to purpose during life's inevitable transitions. These women are writing their own narratives to inspire countless others and are paving the way for future generations to thrive. Congratulations to all the USA Today Women of the Year honorees, both national and local. From the USA Today studio in New York, I'm Zuleika Netu. Thanks for watching.
I was honestly very shocked and surprised when I heard about it, and I'm very, very, very grateful. I've shared a lot of really vulnerable and really hard things, and so to be able to be recognized and supported, I know that most people who share vulnerable things aren't supported like me, so I just feel very appreciative, and I don't forget that or take that lightly, so I'm very honored, and it really means the world to me.
I'm immediately personally honored, but I'm also collectively honored for all women. And I love the idea of recognizing women because it gives us a moment to exhale and say, hey, there's some things we should celebrate, things we do well. Maybe I'll exploit those going forward. So you give women with this award recognition. While I don't think I'm worthy, I would never probably put myself in the list, but I'm excited about the other women who will be acknowledged. And I'm more excited that women get a moment to take that exhale, celebrate, and maybe think about what we do well versus hyper-focus on the other.
Being part of USA Today's Women of the Year means that I have been given such an incredible honor and such an exciting honor, and an opportunity not only to be represented with other amazing women, but also to see young people and show young people what's possible.
It's incredibly flattering, of course. I don't think I've been a Woman of the Year of anything before, so it sounds really good. Biggest honor there is to actually be valued for not just the way you look in my case, but also who you are, for the things that you represent, that you stand for being heard.
It's always an honor to be, you know, on any list, especially in the company of so many amazing women doing amazing things.